Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 16th edition of the BS Podcast. This week, for a change, 15 episodes in a row. It's been the same old, bring in someone new and do that. But this week, I've brought in a returning guest. Please reintroduce yourself.
I'm Courtney.
How have you been since the last time we did our episode a couple months ago?
You know, I'm a few months older. And that's really about it.
Man. Oh, man.
Oh, man.
The cats haven't driven you crazy yet?
Not yet. New behavior is trying to destroy the chandelier, but, you know, one step at a time.
Yeah, one step at a time. You're just gonna work out one issue, and then just work out the next issues. There's always gonna be a new issue, but you know.
Exactly. It's what happens when you basically have toddlers that don't know how hands work.
They just want to play. They want to mess around with stuff and see what works.
Exactly. It's more like having a toddler if the toddler doesn't speak the same language as you, so you're just upset and they're like, I don't understand. I'm a toddler.
Yeah. Imagine if cats could speak English, though.
Oh,
what would they say?
They would just say really mean stuff.
You think?
Yeah.
Man. Anytime I think about what like a cat or a dog would say, I don't think anyone really leans towards they're gonna be nice all the time. It's generally they're gonna tell you what to do. They're gonna yell at you a lot.
Exactly. They're gonna be like, I do not want this food. This food does not taste good. Give me what you're having.
Your food. Your food tastes a lot better than my food.
How about you start cooking for two, Karen, instead of just one?
Yeah. So the first topic I have for this episode is it's nostalgia. For me, it's like anybody that is around between our ages, when you hear Come On and Slam and Welcome to the Jam, you think of Space Jam.
Well, yeah.
And now we get Space Jam 2 coming out July 16th, 2021. You know?
Yeah, I'm not excited about it, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to Space Jam 2, we have a lot of nostalgia for the movie, the first one. When we tune into the second one, I feel like we're gonna realize that, oh, what do you know? This actually wasn't the masterpiece my childhood said it was.
See, I feel like it's gonna go on the same road as Jurassic World, because Jurassic World is very much this, being like, oh man, remember this from the first movie? And I feel like it's gonna go heavily in trying to cash in that nostalgia. And there are gonna be people who love that. I'm just not that kind of person.
Yeah, for me, I'm all about experiencing new things, and I'm good with sequels to things, but it needs to continue a story, and the way Space Jam was, there's only so much you can do with it.
Exactly. The point of it's just literally a silly movie with a famous basketball player and Looney Tunes. That's about it.
I feel like the important part of Space Jam 2 isn't for the people that watched the first Space Jam movie. I feel like Space Jam 2 is going to be this generation's Space Jam for that generation of kids.
And, you know, that's interesting to see. So, I mean, all we can say is wait to see it out at this point, but yeah. I don't think we're the target audience for that one.
Not quite. Not quite.
No.
But, you know, going from Space Jam to a game I seen you were playing just before the podcast, or at least Discord said you were, The Sims 4. How do you feel about the reveal trailer for Strangerville? I've heard a mixed reaction from it so far.
Okay, so I understand the mixed reactions, but do you know The Sims at all?
Absolutely.
Okay, so in Sims 2, there is a town called Strangetown. And so it's just basically the revival of that, and that's what I'm excited about. Because Sims 4 is one of those games that originally when I started playing it, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I don't even know what it was about it. But recently I'm like, alright, like, I'll give it another shot because, I paid all this money for these games and I don't play them. And so now I actually really enjoy it. So I think it's gonna be really good because part of Sims 4 is going on like the more emotional side of characters. So I'm really interested to see like what a goofy Space Town's gonna be like,
See, when I seen the reveal trailer, I don't play much Sims, but I can appreciate what the Sims does. It's more, for me at least, it's kind of like Stardew Valley. It's more a game where you just play to relax. It isn't a game where it's you put a lot of effort or emotional attachment to. But the Strangerville reveal trailer, to me, the expansion pack, it just looks like it'll add a lot of fun hours to your experience with The Sims 4.
Exactly. And so that's, I think, the things that he was complaining about, because a lot of people want completely new things, or are like, no, I don't want this. I want, I don't know, Sims to go to college. I don't want them to have a fun and wacky town. Just other, I don't know, it's the only one I can think of right now.
Yeah, the biggest reaction I seen that wasn't what I figured people would be thinking. People want a more realistic Sims. And I feel like once you actually get a super realistic Sims, you're gonna realize, man, I can just do this in real life. Why am I simulating it?
Yeah, and I understand that, but I don't feel like, besides maybe the first Sims series, I don't feel like the game has ever tried to be serious. Like, Sims 2 is very much kind of like just a relaxing but with kind of goofy graphics looking game. And then with Sims 3, I mean, they had glitches all the time, and a lot of the glitches were highlighted on the website because the developers thought it was funny too.
I actually have a Sims related question.
Yes.
Is there any way to actually understand or begin to comprehend the language that the Sims people use?
I don't think. I mean, I'm sure there's people who tried, but honestly, it's just broken gibberish. Like, yeah. It's just, I mean, one of the lead creator, Will Wright, who he helped with Sims 1 and Sims 2. Sims 3 was sold to EA, and that's when he was off because of the failure of Spore. But he was saying that it's literally just broken gibberish.
Broken gibberish, the language of all people.
Exactly.
And would it be wrong to say that your good experiences with Stardew Valley may have led to you enjoying the Sims series more?
I would say that it adds to it, if anything.
I feel like for me, like, not all the time would I want to play a game like The Sims or Stardew Valley, but when you want something relaxing to do and you just want to listen to a podcast, for example, I feel like a games like The Sims or Stardew Valley would be a good use for that.
Exactly. I would say that any form of relaxing game like that is a good choice.
And going from The Sims to Deltarune, last week it was announced that the first chapter was going to be free for a certain amount of time on the Nintendo Switch. This week, we spread the love. It's coming to the PS4, the first chapter, for free on February 28th.
Of course it is.
I assume next week I'll be covering it going free, the first chapter on the Xbox. I'm already preparing this, so hopefully they don't disappoint me. But I feel like my reaction to this is it's always good. You want to spread. I like the chapters games will do now. I like the Telltale model of game where you have an episode, it lasts for a few hours, and then there you go. And you have time to let it soak in, you have time to think about it, and then you can play the next chapter in a few months when it releases. I like that model. It may not be the ideal situation if you want to play the whole game at one point where you'd want to wait the whole time. But in a scenario like this, I really like the model, and I won't be playing Deltarune. I had horrible experiences with Undertale, but I can appreciate what they're doing here.
See, I'm actually the opposite of that. I absolutely dislike that model. I feel like if you're going to release a game, you need to go 100% with it. But that's just my standpoint.
I mean, that's a very fair standpoint. I mean, people could point out when you're releasing Chapter 1, especially in certain scenarios with Telltale, for example, Episode 5 wasn't complete. It wasn't done at all. And so there's a point there that you don't even know what you're doing all the way yet, so...
That's exactly it. And I feel like with these chapters too, I'm not trying to be rude to the developer here, but I feel like Undertale is very much a one-trick pony. So I feel like it's turning into I don't know. I don't until I play the game. I can't say much, but I feel like it's gonna be kind of like the Five Nights at Freddy's, or at least part of a game, and a way to hear what fans are saying, and then cater to those fans.
I still wonder. Five Nights at Freddy, see, I feel like that'd be a game that'd get me just because I'm not good with a scary or horror game, even if it's something jump scary. You can get me pretty easily with stuff like that. But I don't really think I would enjoy that experience. I don't enjoy feeling that emotion.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. I mean, I don't blame you there. Personally, I love horror, but Five Nights at Freddy's is one of those games where I just don't enjoy it because it's not I don't like jump scares, mostly because they're cheap.
Yep. That's the definition of Five Nights at Freddy's. It's cheap scare.
Yeah, and I'm not even trying to compare Undertale to this. I'm just saying what it feels like. It just feels like, oh man, you gotta milk that cash cow.
Of course, a lot of people want to milk the cow for as much as you can, but sometimes you just gotta leave the cow alone.
And it's kind of funny. You could probably say the same thing about Sims, but I mean, here I am.
I feel like what makes The Sims different from a Five Nights at Freddy's, it felt like Five Nights at Freddy released every year. And The Sims, sure, they have a lot of expansion packs, which add to the game, but they don't release a full-on game for quite a few years.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I feel like that definitely makes a good bit of difference. I definitely would say there's a difference.
Mm-hmm. I can see that too.
So, going from The Sims, our adventures at Strangerville, going to the final chapter for the Marvel Netflix shows, The Punisher and Jessica Jones, who survived so long through the Marvel Netflix apocalypse, have finally been taken out. The third season of Jessica Jones will air, but the shows on Netflix, after 5 years, are finally over. But the thing is, what I find interesting, I don't think it was hard to anticipate that all the shows were going to be canceled once Daredevil got canceled. I feel like Daredevil was one of the better Marvel shows on Netflix, so when it got taken down, to me, especially when Disney Plus was coming around, while that doesn't seem to be why they're getting canceled, it seems to be unrelated in a way. But I feel like once one of the big popular shows of the 5 got canceled, it, to me at least, was pretty obvious that they'd all eventually be canceled.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, obviously they're not saying it's going to be in Disney Plus, but I can see them revamping the shows on Disney Plus.
From what I read, and I keep reading updated stories, and I think it was last night I read the latest news that right now the discussion is that the former Netflix Marvel shows, keep in mind, nothing is gonna happen for 2 years. They can't air it or do anything like that for 2 years. New episodes cannot be done for 2 years. So there's gonna be a gap, and that probably means that some characters won't be coming back because eventually they find something new to do and they can't wait 2 years for the chance to come back.
Exactly,
But,
and it's unrealistic to ask cast members to do that.
yep. And so I read that they're either going to land on Hulu or FX, which, to my knowledge, both have share with Disney. They're both owned partially by Disney, so.
That's interesting.
Does FX have their own streaming service, or would that mean they'd just be on cable TV?
I'm pretty sure FX has their own streaming service, or maybe it's something else. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure if FX has their own actual streaming service that you'd pay for. I know Hulu does, and
basically
like,
every platform does at this point. So it's kind of hard to figure out.
We talked about it a couple months ago, but yeah, that's the trend. That's still the trend. People are making their own streaming services, and we're just entering back in with cable. And if I had to pick between Hulu or FX, I feel like in the best interest of, if you don't want to have to buy every single one, assuming FX has their own that you'd pay for, I'd have to say Hulu, because at least that could incentivize you to get Hulu, and you could watch Marvel's The Runaways, which I've seen one episode of, and I'd like to see more, but one show isn't enough to make me get a whole streaming service that costs a certain amount a month. But if you gave me 6 shows, I think it's reasonable to pay like $10 a month for 6 shows.
I feel ya. Okay, how about this? Do you like Hulu or Netflix more?
I like Netflix a lot more. I'd prefer everything be on Netflix, but
I do too.
Unfortunately, that's just not the world we live in.
Yeah, I was just curious on which one you preferred.
See, I used Hulu a lot back when, even if you paid a little bit, you still had to deal with advertisements, and that, I know, I'm pretty sure they have a option now that isn't like that, but when it was like that, that was just not, that's not what you want. That's, you pay so you don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
It's literally the whole point of paying. You know, you just don't want to deal with it anymore. But everything I read said it was a quote-unquote sure thing that they were going to land on either Hulu or FX. Not both, just one. They're not going to split the shows.
It's probably going to be, like, whoever pays more, honestly.
Probably, and I feel like it just makes more sense for it to be Hulu.
It does to me too. But at the same
time, if I could have it on FX and it show one episode a week, I may. Because, see, I think it's because I'm mobile exclusive still that I feel this way. If I could watch shows, Marvel, or not Marvel, Netflix shows on the TV and just watch them one after another, maybe I'd feel different. But watching it on my phone, I'd rather just watch one episode a week on the TV.
That's interesting.
Because I've recently made it to where I can multi-window it on my phone, so I don't have to just have it on full screen on my phone. I don't like having a video on full screen on my phone. I like multitasking. When I was on my laptop, I'd always have 2 windows open, and I'd half screen that. I need to be doing 2 things at once, generally. Sometimes, like if I'm going to sleep, I'll full screen it, but otherwise, I like to be doing multiple things at once.
Yeah, I'm the same way. We have a little Chromecast thing on the TV, so I always just connect Netflix or whatever to that, because I like to be, like you, I like to do multiple things at the same time while watching shows.
That's why I don't watch a lot of movies, because I feel like movies require your attention more, because there's only so much time they have to tell the story they need to tell. Compared to, like, you could watch a Supernatural and, like, half the season is just fun times. It isn't something you have to stare at your screen for.
What was that? It cut out for me.
when it comes to Supernatural, it isn't a show where you need to stare at your screen the whole time. It's something that for like half the season, you can just have in the background having fun times. And I prefer that in some shows.
I like that too.
It's why some people say Supernatural should be done already, but for me, I still find it a lot of fun. I like a good cast, and I feel like Supernatural has a good cast that you can bring people back for a little bit and have that be a good thing and then have them leave again. I feel like Supernatural is just one of those shows that has a good cast, and I appreciate that in a show.
I didn't know the show was still running.
Yeah, it's still going. It's still going.
It was going when I was in I think middle school or high school.
Yeah, it's still going.
Oh no.
And there's only like one big character that isn't a part of the show anymore in any way, you know.
Okay.
So, for the most
really
part,
funny.
Yeah, it's the same cast, like Castiel, Dean, Sam, the main three on that end. They're still there. They're still doing it.
Oh my god. Wow, I didn't even... Well, you know, kudos to them. Like, they kept it running for years at this point. Over 10.
Yeah, they've been going for over a decade now. And the thing is, like, at one point they did cancel the show, but after advertising for months that they were having their final season, they went back on it. We never were explained why they went back on it, but Supernatural's still going. It's like a cockroach, I guess.
It's still kicking. Man, that's crazy.
Have you watched Marvel's Cloak and Dagger?
I haven't. I to be honest, I don't really watch a lot of the Marvel shows.
Yeah, I feel like with Marvel shows, a lot of them, they touch on different things, and I feel like if you're not a big superhero fan, I feel like even if you're not a superhero fan, you can still like Cloak and Dagger. I don't feel like it's a superhero show, really.
Interesting.
Not really at all. I wouldn't classify it as a superhero show. At least not in the first season, and for me, I watched the first season with my mom, and she hated it. She did not enjoy the show, but I liked it. It wasn't the best show out there, but I feel like compared to other Marvel shows, it differentiated itself enough to be enjoyable, and, you know.
I'm gonna have to watch it then.
Yeah, I'm not sure where you could watch that online. My first guess would be Netflix, but knowing Netflix and how they've treated Marvel the past few months, who knows?
That is true. We'll just see.
Do you watch a lot of TV shows?
Traditional TV or just streaming?
Any show.
Streaming, yes.
You know, that actually brings up another good question. What do you call show if you don't call what is streamed a TV show? Do you just call it a show? What do you classify that as?
I still classify it as a show, but I've been talking to someone being like, oh, I saw this show on Netflix, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I feel like I have always read about the confusion when you bring up a TV show. Everyone immediately goes to cable, and it's like, it's a streaming service show, not a TV show, and my answer would be it's still a TV show.
It's still a TV show, it's just, you know, since cable is so huge, you have to kind of define what you're talking about.
Yeah. What would you say your favorite shows to watch are? Putting you on the spot.
I know. I like Black Mirror. That one's a good one. I also really like that Sabrina show that's out. I'm trying to think what else. I haven't really watched anything new recently. I would say, I'm trying to think what my absolute favorite would be. Absolute favorite shows would be Breaking Bad or that any show.
I did not like Breaking Bad, but I didn't watch it all. So
you know, I can see that. It's not for everybody. I know that there are some like diehard fans being like, you didn't love Breaking Bad? What's wrong with you? Ah!
I mean, it's kind of like with The Walking Dead. Like, zombie shows aren't some people's cup of tea, and that's perfectly okay. And Game of Thrones, if a fantasy show isn't your cup of tea, it's okay to not like Game of Thrones. There's no reason that people should be like, oh man, this is my favorite show. It's the best show of all time. If you don't like it, you just have bad taste.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
I feel like if I had to list some of my favorite shows, it would just discuss a totally different genre. I like shows like Survivor. Like, I just like these Hell's Kitchen, Ink Master. I like all those shows. Yeah. But I don't like game shows. I don't like game shows as much. I used to. I want to see them bring back Whammy.
You mean Jeopardy isn't your go-to every day?
No. Not quite.
I've only gotten one question right on Jeopardy. That's about as far as I go.
Game shows that make me feel dumb, or are you smarter than a 5th grader?
Oh, yes. That one hurts my soul. It's like, yep, I am not that smart. Thank you, TV.
Yeah, thanks, TV. I now know that I need to go back to elementary school, because I don't know a lot of this crap.
Some 30-year-old mom gets owned by a 10-year-old.
But to be fair, I feel like that's just what they do on Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader doesn't accurately show what people learn in elementary school.
To be fair, though, it doesn't matter what the show is. Kids just roast you anyways.
True. Very, very true. But if I had to be interested in a game show, like Deal or No Deal, I used to like Deal or No Deal, but when they brought it back recently, it's not oh, I really like this, I'm gonna watch it again. But if you did a modern day version of Whammy, I would watch that. I want to see how that would go.
Whammy is a good one. Personally, if I was living on a TV show, it would be Wheel of Fortune.
That's also a good one. One that's been going for a long time. I assume it's still going.
Yeah, it is. They have like little off seasons here and there, but I mean, it's still kicking.
I liked Family Feud too.
Oh, Family Feud's fun.
Wouldn't you want to participate in Family Feud?
No, because I'm gonna get mad at whoever my family member is who can't figure out what would fit. I don't know. I can't think of like a question that they would ask on the show.
Would you pick your actual family or an online family for Family Feud if they gave you the option?
Ooh, that's a good question. Huh. I would say my actual family, because I think my mom's hilarious and she would be so funny on that show. Just because I want to see how my mom would react in Family Feud.
And see how Steve Harvey reacts to her?
Yes, my mom is very loud. So, she's very boisterous and she's like, I was recently trying to explain the Switch to her and she kept going, I don't get it! What is a Switch? She was just being super loud about it. I don't even know. And I just think it's funny.
Yeah, she expresses herself in a loud manner, but that doesn't... It makes it entertaining sometimes.
Exactly. No, that's why I'm just like, man, I would love to see my mom show.
So going from game shows to not-so-game shows. Now that certain states have the $15 minimum wage, fast food workers now are battling a quote-unquote unfair firings. Now, I'll start this off with my take. It's probably not going to be a popular take, but my take on this is, we're paying people more, so we're going to look into the actual work they're doing now, and the bar for what you need to do is a bit higher. You can't be lazy and expect your $8 an hour that went up to $15. You can still do what you did at $8 an hour for. You have to step up your game.
Sure. And then an important thing to note is obviously this change is not happening overnight. the state next to me, Illinois, is raising theirs up to $15 an hour as well. And so the fear right now is that companies are just going to move to neighboring states like Indiana and whatever the state next to Illinois is. I can't think right. No, I can't think. I don't know. I'm too tired for this. But I think the biggest thing to note too is that with a $15 raise, like people cannot be surprised that they're being laid off. That's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. Can they afford to pay everybody $15? In some cases they can, but still,
Sure.
It isn't for a business side of things. Looking at your bottom line, I feel like you gotta do what makes you the most money, and investors are happy with what you're doing. And if you're suddenly paying hundreds of thousands of people pretty much double or like 40% higher, you gotta make it up somewhere. And if you can cut some, I guess, quote unquote, dead weight, then you may want to do that.
Sure, and I want to say too that I don't think that everyone working in fast food is lazy or dead weight. Because there
Not
are
at
people
all.
who unfortunately just don't have the right opportunities or are struggling to make those opportunities. And then there are people who are lazy.
But I feel like if we look at it from a realistic point of view, you're not going to fire your best worker over this.
Sure, I agree. But I would also say, too, is that I think that we need a new defining for minimum wage. Because I don't believe that part-time work in general should be a minimum income. I think that it should be a different defining income, like part-time income. And then minimum wage should be like the minimum that you can live off of, just like entry-level jobs. Because I think that's the biggest issue that people are hitting right now. Because they think minimum wage, because yes, minimum wage jobs you used to be able to live off of. But unfortunately, the economy changes and this is where we're at. Part-time work is an unrealistic mindset that you can live off of that. Now, if there's a full-time worker at fast food, then yes, they deserve the minimum wage.
Yeah, it's a complicated situation now where, if you ask me, I feel like a lot of things, if you work full-time, you should make enough to live. You shouldn't have to struggle if you work full-time. And the fact is, a lot of people do, because a lot of things are expensive, and not everyone makes the best financial situations for themselves. But it isn't always their fault that they're struggling, even though they're working full-time and doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, and and people make mistakes and they make not the best financial decisions, and you learn from them.
Yeah, and for me, I've always been stubborn with how I spend my money. I look closely at any purchase I want to make, and like the Blue Yeti microphone I'm using right now, I spent a long time when I didn't know anything to make that decision. And would I make that same decision in 2019, years later? No, but at the time, it was the smart decision. It's not a bad microphone, the microphone I'm using right now, but it certainly wouldn't. It's a good starter mic, not the one you finish with.
Yeah, that's true.
And I feel like that's a lot of purchases. You learn from your purchases to do better down the road.
Exactly. And just in general, some people don't have financial training or don't understand that a credit card should not be used as a debit card. I mean, it's just, unfortunately some people have to deal with some difficult lessons.
Are you saying I shouldn't go to Walmart every week and spend $1,000?
I would say that that's not the best idea, but I can't control you. You do you.
I don't even know how you'd spend $1,000 every week at Walmart.
By buying furniture and $1,000 worth of groceries.
But I mean, eventually, when you do it every week, eventually you're just going to be over full at your house.
No. You're gonna look like one of those couponers, alright? You're gonna have like a whole storage thing. It's gonna look like there's an apocalypse.
Or you're gonna be a hoarder.
Organized hoarding. Here we are.
I feel like that would not be the path I want to go down. I'd prefer to keep the most of my money. See, that's another thing. Like, I have to think about how I'm going to spend my money when I move. Because I need to buy a new PC. I want to get a new mic. I need to, once we get moved, I need to see what I need to do for my lighting situation. So many things I'll have to spend money on, and it's just,
You know, though, you got plenty of time to save up and then doing some research on what you like and don't like, so...
Every day I research something. The past few days it was microphones. Now I'm looking at headphones because the ones I'm talking to you on, for example, right now, inside the ear thing, that material's come off. This headset's getting old. I've had it for quite a few years, so once I get moved, I will be retiring it and getting something else. Plus, once I hopefully stream multiple hours every week, I don't feel like these are the most comfortable for that. I don't think I would want to wear these for that long every day. I also get hot easily, though, so that could just be me.
Yeah, that could be.
That one of the biggest factors, like, I want the headphones to produce good sound quality, but at the same time, if any review has, like, a comfortability or breathability for the ears, I'm always reading all about that, and then reading a second opinion, a third opinion, and I'm just like, These two reviews said they're comfortable, but this third person said they were not comfortable. What caused the difference here?
Yeah, that's funny.
What side would I be on? Would I be in the two that I just read that were positive, or would I also feel they're uncomfortable and then I'm just like, ugh?
You know, that's the hardest part with reading reviews. Some people be like, oh man, it's like the best product I ever buy, and then there's one being like, this was the worst thing ever. I wouldn't let my dog use this.
Or in your case, the cats.
Yes.
Yeah, and for me, it's just like, I spent like 2 to 3 hours, about 12 hours ago, looking up headphones. I've made no progress in determining headphones I would buy. It's just like, I feel like I need to get it down to the brand and be like, okay, for the Razer, the best Razer headset that fits my price is this one. Okay, let me put that aside and go to the next brand and be like, okay, this one, and then compare all those.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. It's just trying to compare and figure out what's right for you.
But then it's like, how much is too much for headphones? Because, like, for me, I could not see myself paying for, like, a $300 headset. That sounds way too much.
Never.
And so I'm like, okay, would I pay $200? I don't think so. I just don't see $200 for headphones being a smart decision. And so I'm like, okay, what is the highest I think would be okay to pay for headphones?
See, I just buy like the $2 ones, to be honest with you. And I just call it good enough.
I feel like I'm gonna buy... Right now, I feel like in my head, I could see $100. I don't think I could see $150. I feel like $150, it's just... $150 with the new microphone I want to buy, that's like double the price of the microphone.
That is true.
And that's crazy. And
Yeah.
I compare stuff like that, like, why does this cost this and I'm gonna use it for this, but this costs like double and I'm gonna use it for this. This doesn't make sense.
And it could be branding, but also maybe some headphones are made with better materials, and that could add to the cost. But in general, I feel like the person who buys $300 headphones also will drop $1,000 on a microphone.
When I was listening to all these mic reviews, there was actually... Because there's one channel that I really like for mic reviews. I feel he does a good job, and provides entertainment to the mix, and he reviews pretty much all the mics, so it's a consistent person to go through and see how they sound with different mics. And so I don't have that for headphones yet, but when I was doing the mics, this dude reviewed a $1,000 microphone, and throughout the whole video, he was just questioning, why would I pay this much for a microphone? It sounds good, but $1,000 for a microphone's a lot of money. And then someone in the comments said, oh, but people will spend $1,000 for an iPhone. I wouldn't pay $1,000 for an iPhone either.
I wouldn't either. I'm good with my Android.
Yeah, I enjoy Android. The only thing I don't like with my current phone is it has a do not disturb, which you're not supposed to be bothered by calls or texts or any notifications like that when you're doing something. But it doesn't work properly. When I get a call, it still messes up everything. Do not disturb doesn't fix that. Although it's supposed to.
Yeah.
That's the struggle.
That is the struggle. I'm feeling it there too.
Guys, it's only happened once when I was recording the podcast, but when I do that, it completely messes up, like, it doesn't mess up the recordings, but it messes up, like, okay, if they were saying something, if I was saying something, that's just cut off for me. I don't get the context. Stuff happens, and I have to ignore the call. Because especially, like, there's so many spam calls you get nowadays.
Exactly. You know what's actually pretty cool?
What?
The Google Pixel, they have this thing now to where you can screen calls if you don't know the number. Like, let's just say some number you don't know is calling. You can hit an automatic response being like, the owner of this phone would like to know the reason for your call. And then if the person starts talking, like, it comes up like as a special. It comes up as like the person with the phone, but a lot of times they just hang up.
Oh no, this isn't part of my script to make a lot of money. Try the next person.
Exactly.
And what kills me is, like, depending on the month, I get a lot of calls, but sometimes I don't get a lot of calls. It just depends on what time of the year it is, and like this month hasn't been that bad. I've gotten a few calls, but it's not too much. But January, I got a lot of calls in January, and it's like, it's a different number every time. So you can block the number all day long, but it's always a new one.
Yeah, I get those too. And so one thing that I figured out that's important to do is that I removed my name from my voicemail, so now it just says my phone number.
I've never set up a voicemail because I don't accept calls. The only person I will answer my phone for is my mom. And besides that, most likely won't happen.
Yeah, I got you. I was just saying in general, that's what I personally... Because that's the one thing where I was like, man, how are they getting my name? And then one day it just clicked.
Ah, that makes a lot of sense.
And you're like, oh no.
That means you should change your name to something crazy and see if they'll still call you by that.
Hi, my name is James.
Hey James, I would like your credit card information, and I would like to own everything you own, and I'm not giving it back. I'm gonna take all your money. I'm gonna not give you anything in return for it, but this is an important call.
Here, take my 2 cents. Get out.
Okay. I mean, hey, if they made 2 cents for every call they did, they'd be rich.
You know? That is true.
Because and another question I have regarding those is, like, do we think it's the same group calling everybody, or is it a lot of small groups that call everybody?
I would say it's a lot of small groups, you know?
Why is it not illegal?
Well, I mean, it's not illegal to telemarket, I mean, in general. As long as you're calling between 9 to 5, I think it's Eastern Standard Time. There's nothing that you can... I mean, it's legal for them to do that. if they're calling like at ridiculous hours, like at 3 a.m., then yes, there is. You can report that for. I think it's not harassment. I can't think what it's called. Because I used to work for a telemarketing job, and that was I mean I wasn't like Holmes, but and so that's one of the things to keep in mind is that you had to call between 9 to 5 Eastern Standard Time.
That makes sense. I feel like I'd get all my calls between 9 to 5, but at the same time, I don't want these calls. I'd love an option to be like, no, I would not like these calls. Thank you.
I mean, you could always start in being like, if you keep calling me, I'm going to report this number and send a cease and desist. That usually gets them to back off.
See, I never answer. I press ignore every time, because it always interrupts what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's true. You know, I mean, I feel like the best thing to do is to not answer, because as far as they know, there's no live body there.
Why hasn't there been a lot of YouTube series where they mess with the people that call them all the time?
Oh yeah, there is. There actually is quite a few. A lot of them are for like legitimate scams, and I'm glad those people get called out. But in general, I mean, there's people who mess with telemarketers. I would say that not every telemarketer is a scammer, but a lot of them are.
Either way, they're bothersome.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean,
especially if you're mobile exclusive. You're interrupting whatever I'm doing. Because, like, when it does that, my 4G doesn't work during a phone call. So it cuts it off. So it's just like, ugh.
See, well, coming from the perspective of someone who worked in telemarketing, I would say yes, it is the bottom, and it sucks. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
I would say that a lot of the list that they get is from their employers who claim, like, oh yeah, they're legitimate. I mean, there have been times where I accidentally called a home and was like, you don't want magazines, bye.
I feel like having that job would be awful, because when you're doing it, you either have to convince yourself that you're not bothering people, or you have to call these people knowing you're bothering them.
Oh yeah, I mean, I hated it. I mean, I could just tell you right now, it was awful. I hated it, and if I hope that place burns. Yeah. It honestly, I must say, the perspective that it taught me was what a bad employer looks like, an employer that doesn't care about the well-being of the people who work there. Because that was very much mentally the lowest I was. It was terrible.
Obviously, I can't speak much about actual jobs. I don't have an actual job. I never have. But from what I hear about these jobs, that does not sound like the job you'd like to have.
No, of course not. But it was my first full-time job. So.
And you gotta take what you can get.
Exactly. And it was a learning experience. Would I go back there? No, I'd rather die. I'm good. I would just say that that I personally, if you know, you pick up a phone call from a scammer, as long as they're not being rude, I wouldn't be mean to them, because, you know, at the end of the day, I think back to when I worked there and it was horrible and I would feel terrible. I feel bad for those people, you know?
When you're making those calls, do you have a script you have to follow?
Yep. For mine, it was selling magazines to businesses, so the part of my thing, which is kind of, I'm gonna say this part's a little sketchy, is just doing some research to try to figure out the office manager, or I should say, the buyer's name for that company. So that way, when you call them, be like, oh yes, I need to talk to Karen Johnson. So, because you had to get past the gatekeeper to try to get to whoever sell, and then you would do like a little pitch or find out when they're redoing magazines so that you can send them information. I hated it so much.
What would happen if someone wanted to take you away from the script and have a different conversation? Would you just have to hang up, or just stick to the script, or?
No, I mean, I winged it. At least that's what I did. I had to make at least 150 calls a day though, so each call was between 1 and 2 minutes, and most of the time they want to get you off the phone anyways.
Man, that doesn't sound like what would make a good YouTube series, so.
Well, I mean, there are places that do actually scam. I mean, I know that this business was legitimate because we would basically send them these magazines or whatever.
See, I feel like if I had to be offered something by a telemarketer, I'd rather we not do it by telephone. I'd rather you just mail me something, and then I can just be like, okay, I don't care about this. Throw away. Don't have to deal with it again. Unless you send it again, and then we'll repeat the process, and it isn't an emotional withdrawal.
Exactly. I must say, it gave me a new perspective about people, so in general, a lot of it is just some people yelling at you on the phone and being like, have a nice day, goodbye, and then mark them, do not call back was mean.
Would you say you'd get a lot of nasty tones from people when you did that job?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, who wants to be called about magazines? Magazines suck.
So you would not buy a magazine in 2019?
No, I mean, who would?
That's fair.
Like I said, it was literally just a job to pay bills, and it was a very interesting learning experience, and I must say, the treatment there, I must say, the people who are successful there are the kind of people that are not, I would say, are not good people, personally. Or I shouldn't say good people, I would say people who don't have the same morals as I do.
Yeah.
Which is a give or take.
When it comes to the spectrum of their morals, it's definitely not at the same place that others would be at.
I would say that. I would say that's fair. Because, people are complex, so I don't want to say a person is good or bad because that's not fair.
Not many people can be classified as either good or bad. Everyone is a mixed bag.
Exactly, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's why I want to make sure it's clear. Like, no, I would say that we're just not on the same page. Because I don't think I'm better than them. I would say that still. Because one of my coworkers there was just a single mom with 3 kids, so I mean, she's just doing what she can to get by.
So would the equivalent online of calling people and asking them to sign up for your service, would that be the equivalent of DMing people on Discord about your product and trying to get people to go for it? Would you say these are equivalent things?
I would say yes, that's in the same realm. Except
so
on
anyone
Discord,
that may be listening,
don't be sliding DMs being like, hey man, come join my Discord server.
You know, how many servers are you in right now?
Hang on.
I'm in 5.
I'm in 25.
Jesus. I couldn't do it.
Well, to be fair, I'm in some of these just because I like the little emoticons.
You know, I see people do that. You know what I want from Discord? A feature I think would be pretty useful.
What?
I want a favorites list. What the favorites list would be is, okay, I'm in this amount of servers, but I don't care about every room in the server. Let me pick out, okay, let me favorite this room from this server, like the wrestling room and the YouTuber server, and let me favorite this room from another server, and I want those in their own separate list.
Sure, the issue you would have with that, though, is that it'd be a bit confusing.
That's true, but at the same time, I feel like... I want something like that.
Yeah, I feel ya. What I would like, you know, like how on Facebook, like, they had to where you can download stickers?
Yes.
I want that for emoticons.
You know, I just realized earlier when I was giving you the role for the voice chat that recently Discord has made a change for their Android app, and I can now upload and edit emojis on my server now. That's pretty cool.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, because you didn't used to be able to do that. I know as of like last week when I recorded, that wasn't a thing. So they recently changed that. That's pretty cool. I like that. I'll probably update mine because I feel like all of mine are small and I don't understand why. They're smaller than the average, and I've seen other people use the exact same emoji and it'd be bigger, so I'm not sure what happened that was done wrong.
So yeah, I feel that too, though. I mean, in some servers I'm in, like the little push-in one, a lot of them are small. I think it just depends on the image. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. And for me, it's like, I can only be active in like a couple servers. And so I don't want to be dead weight on someone's server. Sure, it may feel good that, oh, there's like 50 members in the server, but if I'm not really doing anything in your server, am I really helping you out here?
I mean, you could say the same for servers like MeowTubers too, though. I mean, there's people who join and never talk. I would say
Ban them all.
ban them all. Oh no. No, I would say that that's pretty neutral.
Yep. And I feel like especially with the YouTuber server, like, there's so many, if you had to look at the percentage of people that hasn't posted a message in the past, like, 30 days, that's a pretty high percentage, but to be fair, it's like, what, close to 4,000 people at this point. I know it was at, like, 3,500 last I seen. So, I feel like the fact that it's been around for almost 3 years now, or at like 2.5 years, you're gonna have a lot of inactive people, because YouTubers, they don't last long sometimes. A lot of them come and go.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast.
Yep. I was thinking about that the other day, like, what are some of the YouTubers I've met in the past 2.5 years that quit, that I just like a life update from them at this point? Because once they're gone, don't hear from them again.
Yeah, that's the saddest part about it.
And for me, it's like, especially when they go from using Discord a lot to quitting YouTube, and that was the only reason they used Discord, so you just simply don't have a way to contact them again.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Like Miko More. I don't know if you remember Miko, but
I do remember Miko.
Miko hasn't used Discord in forever, since the last time he posted somewhere, and I just want a life update, because the last I heard, I want a life update for him at this point. See how he's doing, but I'm still waiting on that door to open. The moment I catch him online somewhere.
You're gonna hunt him down?
Yes. Something else this is probably not the most interesting topic in the world, but when it comes to Discord and the friends list, do you really value the friends list on Discord at all?
Not at all.
Yeah, I don't either. And when I was younger, I had an unhealthy obsession on Facebook over the friends list, and I always cleaned it out a lot, and then I'd re-add people, and then I'd clean it out again. It was just whatever mood I was in, I'd make these drastic changes all the time, and it was not it's not something I look to repeat on Discord, so I just leave the whole thing alone. If someone sends me a friends request, if I don't actively talk to them, I just decline it, and then when they send it to me again, I decline it again.
Oh man, I feel special then? I'm your friend?
Yeah. I have like a dozen or so friends on Discord right now.
Pretty cool.
Because I can see why the friends list would be good, like if you want to quickly DM someone and you will occasionally DM someone or need to know if they're online or not. It's helpful that way. Yeah, that brings me to another Discord subject that isn't interesting at all. You have people that either, and I don't blame them, but you have people that'll either go offline while they're online, or they'll be do not disturb for no real reason. It's just, don't bother me, unless you're one of the people I'd actually like to talk to.
Exactly.
That always, it messes with me a little bit, because even if I know that they'd be okay with me messaging them and they're at, like, do not disturb or offline, I'm like, should I message them right now, or should I wait until I see them active somewhere and then message them? It's always a constant debate I have.
I feel you.
But if they're just online, then I'm just gonna DM them. So, people that do that, it just messes with me a little bit. So, leaving Discord uninteresting topics. Hundreds of thousands of cows have drowned after Australia sees a year's worth of rain in a week. The floodwaters are estimated to have killed up to 300,000 cattle worth up to $300 million in Australia currency to the country's farming industry. Authorities plan to drop bales of hay for the surviving cattle stranded in flooded areas. Affected farms will be eligible to apply for grants to 25,000 Australian dollars as part of a disaster recovery fund. Last week I had a sad cow topic, and unfortunately I seen another sad cow topic that I just had to bring forward this week. That's horrible.
That is so sad. Oh,
And
they're dropping hay though for the surviving cows. I mean, at least they're like recognizing that this is not okay.
Yeah, they're helping them out. They're definitely not just saying screw them, but
It's just so sad.
It's like being left outside in the rain for days and days and days and not being able to make it. It's sad.
It's terrible. Those poor cows. I just want to hug them.
Exactly. Cows are pets.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you treat cows poorly, then they won't like you. But if you treat cows nicely, a lot of cows will be friendly with you. They're friendly creatures.
Mm-hmm. I would say that goes for a lot of animals.
Yep.
Poor
Unless
cows.
it's like a shark. Shark are mean.
Well, I mean, they're just hungry. I don't blame them.
I don't think that's a legal excuse.
Hey, sometimes you just get a little hangry. It happens to the best of us.
Eat a Snickers.
Right. Feed a shark a Snickers.
I hate commercials that they brought back the pig commercial, and it's not even in HD. That's what makes it so much worse.
Oh no.
That Wii commercial with the pig,
Yeah.
that's not even HD. They brought it back recently, and it's just like, oh,
that commercial is
my
awful.
God. It was annoying then. And now it's outdated, not even HD, and it's still annoying now.
So basically, it's just annoying low quality. Great. Yay.
I feel like that's what a lot of commercials are. I want to see new commercials. I don't want to see the same commercial for years and years and years. Like Doritos. I don't want to see that time machine commercial ever again. I've seen it for years and years and years. Give me something new.
I would say I would rather see no commercials ever again, but hey, you do you.
I would agree with that, but in a world where we're full of advertisements.
That is true.
But hey, advertisements pay the bills, so, I actually have an update to what was a weekly topic I had with the Would You Get Disney Plus? Me and my mom were discussing recently. And she's like, I think we will actually have to get Disney Plus so we don't miss out on all these shows featuring the Marvel characters. And I'm so conflicted on that. Like, on one hand, I just wish it wasn't on its own streaming service. I wish it was somewhere else with other shows and not having to get it so you can watch these shows.
So what you're saying is that you're turning to the dark side.
Apparently. Not by my choice. I won't be paying the bill.
I was saying, if you're not paying the bills, what does it actually matter?
So yeah, apparently, for my household at least, our position has gone to will probably get Disney Plus. So I'm now in the minority for this topic as well, since pretty much everyone has said they're not getting Disney Plus. But my question is, how many people that said they aren't getting Disney Plus when they actually release it and it's been a couple years, how many of them will have actually changed their minds and gotten Disney Plus?
I would say probably like a lot of family groups will, you know?
Plus, will they have a lot of Disney movies on Disney Plus? Will they have like The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, for example, on Disney Plus?
I don't know if they'll have those kind of shows, but I'm sure like they'll have movies on there. And I think that's going to be the biggest selling point.
I mean, if you put old shows from the Disney Channel, like The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, I'm sure you could bait in those people that want to rewatch those shows, because you can't really see them on TV nowadays. They've moved on.
That'd be cool.
I feel like, yeah, that'd be the approach I feel you want to take. You want to bring back, like, Hannah Montana, Wizards of Waverly Place, bring back Halloween Town. I like the Halloween Town movies. They're good to watch before Halloween.
You know, I loved Halloween Town. I have not seen them since I was a kid, though, so I don't know if they're still good.
Probably not.
It's probably gonna be real bad.
And then today, can I follow certain celebrities on Twitter, and then one of them talked about watching Avatar The Last Airbender on Netflix, and I'm like, I didn't know this was on Netflix. Is this a recent thing? Maybe. With the video game for that series, it was something I liked as a kid, but when I played it as an adult, I didn't like it at all. Would I feel the same way about the TV show?
Huh. That's a good question. I feel the same thing, though, about a lot of shows. Like, as a kid, like, oh man, it's the greatest show ever, but as adults, like, I don't know.
Tastes change, and especially for me, like, I feel like I moved on from cartoons to real people shows at an earlier age than most people did. And for me, like, only recently have I wanted to try and watch more animated stuff compared to real people shows. I don't know what else to call it besides real people shows. I don't know if there's actually a term for it.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Real people shows is just what it doesn't sound right. There has to be a term for it, but I don't know what the term is. So real people shows. I just moved to them pretty quick. I wasn't a child that was like, oh, I'm sticking with cartoons a while. No, I'm
gonna watch real people television now.
Yeah, I'm so much better than those cartoon watchers. Yeah. Yeah, like, one show I will say I still like, Drake and Josh, is still funny now.
Drake and Josh is solid.
The only questionable thing about Drake and Josh for me that I still have today, since they still will sometimes air it on TV, on one hand, it's surprising that the definition, because they use the term boob in a different way than traditional for that show.
Well, and yeah, so sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying that, they just used it as an insult. I mean, I think that was the point. Like, it's like saying butt.
Yeah, like, and maybe it caught on for a couple years, but it wasn't something that actually caught on for a long period of time. I don't think I've heard someone use that as a quote-unquote insult in ever.
I haven't either. I think it's just one of those TV show things, like, bazinga!
Hey, some people ironically use bazinga.
Oh, my heart and my soul.
What, is that not your favorite term?
Oh man, it is my most favorite term. Get it right.
Yeah, clearly. What would you want your cat's catchphrases to be if they could talk?
Meow.
Well, it's a good thing, because that's what you have now.
I was saying, that's the best catchphrase of all.
You don't have to hear them trash talk you when they don't get their way.
Oh no, they still trash talk. I just don't know what they're saying.
Imagine how differently you'd feel about your cats if you knew the trash talk they were giving you when you didn't give them what they wanted.
Oh shoot, I get it right back.
Yeah, you just sass them right back.
Be like, who pays the bills? That's right, you don't.
What would a cat job be? What could a cat do to make money?
Be a manager.
See, I feel like the only
Be a
cat
CEO.
jobs... Yeah. The only cat jobs require humans to do some of the work for them and put them in that position. Like cats, they could go down a red carpet, I guess, but you have to take them there. Will an Uber accept a cat if a cat had money to travel?
I think an Uber would basically accept anything as long as it's cash.
And
they don't get paid to care.
As long as you tip well.
Exactly. So,
do you have any final words for this episode of the BS podcast?
You know, I can't really think of anything else to say. We each covered a lot today.
Yeah, we covered a lot. We covered a lot in a short amount of time. I'm pretty proud of that. I feel like, I guess the last thing I have to say is Bazinga.
And the last thing I gotta say is,